Hello, this is Kenneth Wong, contributing editor for Desktop Engineering magazine. So this is my first video report for the new year, and I thought it'll be fun to kickstart 2011 with a short demonstration on how to render your own New Year card. This also gives me an opportunity to try out the new labeling function in Luxion's Keyshot rendering software, release 2.1. Okay, let's get started. First, you'll need an image, something you'd like to project onto a 3D object as a label, or a decal as some people might call it. I created mine in Adobe Illustrator. It's just a festive image downloaded from a free clip art site with my own text and logo layered on top of it. Then I saved the image as a JPEG file. The next thing I went to 3D Via, a Dassault Systems portal where you can grab and download user-submitted 3D models. I found and downloaded this model of an iPad by a user named SGI102 in the .dae file format. It's a Collada file format. Now Keyshot can open a wide range of CAD files, but the more compact Collada format is easier to manage and good enough for what I need to do in this case. Now I'm going to load the 3D model of my iPad into the Keyshot session. First, I need to flip that 3D model so that the iPad's display surface is facing upward. Then I'll use the positioning commands in the Scene tab in the Options dialog box to place the iPad roughly about the center of the window by moving it along the X, Y, and Z axes. Next, I'm going to go into the Camera tab to zoom into the right perspective to get the dramatic effect that I want in the program window. When the 3D iPad is just about where I want it to be positioned, I'll open the Materials dialog box and start dragging and dropping materials to the parts of the model. Black chrome for the borders, chrome for the backplate, clear glass for the surface, and so on. Then I go into Environments and pick one that I like to put light and background into my scene. One thing to keep in mind here, the materials and environments at the bottom of your scene window are items you can apply to an empty scene and a blank object. By contrast, if you have already applied these to your scene and your object and you need to further edit or manipulate them, you'll have to use the Options dialog box to do that. The next thing we need to do is to identify the exact surface on the iPad where I want to project my JPEG image. Once I've picked that, I choose Edit Materials. This gets us into the tab where the option to load an image into the material has a label. So I just find my way back to where my image is saved, then load it into the dialog box, and here it is. Well, it's not yet displaying the image correctly, is it? That's where you need to experiment with your placement options to make it show up correctly on the surface the way you want it. In my case, I need to project that image on the Y plane. Afterwards, I just pick the position, then point it to right about where I want the image to appear. And then I scale it using the UV scale functions to fill the entire iPad surface with this image. And finally, this is what I get. It looks pretty much how I want it to look with the image projected onto the surface. So all I need to do now is to render it. So I go into the Rendering tab, choose the settings I want, and I just hit Render in high resolution. Luxion lets people use Keyshot and try it out for 15 days before buying it. So you can use the same trial software to test out the method that I just showed you. Keyshot uses a CPU-based rendering system, so if you happen to have a dual-core or quad-core machine, you'll find that your image rendered much faster. So here finally is a rendered message with my New Year message projected onto the 3D iPad model. Using the same approach, you can also place pretty much any 2D image or any message you want onto a freely downloaded 3D model, or a 3D model that you created on your own in a CAD system. Just don't get carried away and project your message or yourself on one of the great wonders of the world, like I just did here. Until next time, this is Kenneth Wong for Desktop Engineering Magazine, wishing you Happy New Year.